Excellencies, Cabinet Secretaries, my colleague Cabinet Secretaries, my colleague
the chair
of the chair
for Defense,
of Committee
Intelligence and Foreign Relations,
Intelligence and Foreign Relations,
the chair for the Diaspora and Migrant Affairs Committee,
Honorable
ladies and gentlemen, colleagues from the Ministry,
ladies and gentlemen,
ambassadors,
excellencies, good morning.
Ambassadors, excellencies, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mine is really very small, Your Excellency. Is to ask the question, what does a well-done foreign policy do? How do we feel, touch, and understand a well-done foreign policy? I'm going to talk about three things quickly that foreign policy has done for us in the embodiment of the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. The diaspora pillar has always been a pillar of the diaspora policy, giving it flesh, giving it budget, and giving it energy has allowed us to giving it raw energy has allowed us to grow our diplomacy. It has allowed us to run evacuation programs, has allowed us to run evacuation such as in Sudan, Your Excellency, such as the ongoing situation out of Lebanon, such as the ongoing situation out of Lebanon, where so far from Lebanon, 300 processes ongoing, from Lebanon processes ongoing, ensuring protection is done, ensuring documentation is done everywhere has allowed us to serve Kenyans, has allowed us to 102 different cities in the 2 years that we have been. What does a well-done foreign policy do?
What does a well-done foreign policy do? It allows us to put money, it allows us to create an incentive framework for remittances. And Your Excellency, I'm happy to announce, I'm happy to announce the remittances, an upward trend. Last year, the remittances to $1 billion. Last year, report as you know is higher than the $1 billion, which as you know is higher than the foreign exchange, tourism, and I'm not trying to start anything tourism, and I'm not trying to start anything and so on. But Your Excellency, and so on. But Your Excellency, the number is critical. Sending money from less than people, sizes to their homes, Your Excellency, to their homes, Your Excellency, people who have been on the margins, it allows us to people who have been on the margins, and countries that have supported their diasporas have done examples have done well. Ireland, examples from Ireland, from India, and see the work that ensuring that our foreign policy has legs, ensuring that our foreign policy has ensured them that we've been able to keep them achieve more and Your Excellency, I'm currently we're here, a delegation from the diaspora, we're here, various members of how they can talk about take even more how they can take even more part. So Your Excellency, this process. So Your Excellency, this policy of Kenya and doing it in such an open way that allows and doing it in an open way that allows various stakeholders to speak to it, will allow us to feel impetus, will allow us to feel this thing that is called foreign diplomacy. I want to thank you, foreign policy. I want to thank you, Excellency, and on this leadership and to direction from the Excellency and to having a foreign direction, from having a foreign policy. Asante sana. We'll be able to support and get behind. Asante sana.
Another round of applause for PS Rosalie. Another round of applause for PS Rosalie. On your programs, Your Excellency, there is a presentation which is captured as a video presentation. Captured as a video presentation. I think somebody at mischievous thinking that I would be away. Mischievous thinking that I would be away. I'm here personally. So I'd like to make a quick presentation. So I'd like to make a quick presentation. Put up the presentation. Just put up the presentation, please. I think the presentation, first and foremost, Your Excellency. I think the presentation is a summative draft of foreign policy, consultative draft that has by an consultatively by an important to say that it's not been developed. It is important to say that it's not been developed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs because our understanding of Foreign Affairs because our understanding from the word go is that these are and so at the beginning of July when the Prime Cabinet Secretary at the beginning of July when the Prime Cabinet Secretary asked me to initiate this process, Your Excellency, and I want to ask members of the technical committee that was in charge of the upstanding and recognize. They were led by Ambassador Kiruthu. They were led by Ambassador Kiruthu, who is the Deputy Director General. Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together within the ministry. Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together. In summary, Your Excellency, that's the outline of the presentation. That's the outline of the presentation. Our diplomatic footprint. We start with the formation of the formulation process for this formulation of the formulation process for this policy. Like I mentioned, we will outline the draft policy. Outline the draft policy. We will reflect on the 2014 Kenya foreign policy. We will reflect on the 2014 Kenya focus areas of the current proposed policy. Focus areas of the current policy. How we intend to implement it, evaluate it, and the next slide, please. Your Excellency, that is our diplomatic footprint. Your Excellency, that is our down the line. 60 years down the commencement of diplomacy. Since the commencement, we now have footprints. We now have footprints. 68 well over 68. Consider spread is largely in Africa. Consider spread is largely in Africa, in Europe. 29, 10 in Europe, 10 in Europe, 9 in Asia, 6 in the Americas, 9 in Asia, 9 in. I think in the Americas actually it's going to change in about 2 weeks. I think in the Americas actually it's going to change in about 2 weeks. Which is a seventh consulate we are setting up, which is a consulate we are setting up. Your Excellency, this footprint, Haiti. Your Excellency, this footprint, because when you compare it with our neighbors, given our ambition, our footprint, given our ambition, still in South Africa have 103 missions. With the kind of mandate you have given us, Your Excellency, with the kind of mandate you have given us, including on diaspora, it increasingly becomes evident to us that we do not have. And so part of the conversation we need to have is whether the coverage that we have is sufficient. Next slide, please. The journey we started in July, Your Excellency, has led us. Your Excellency has led us along a path of widely. Have consulted widely, reached experts in maritime affairs, peace and security in academia, in the media, including in the civil society, including in the judiciary. And so we have undertaken our view. We have undertaken compliance, consultative processes that are compliant with the Constitution of the Republic. If you notice, it's only major consultation that is still outstanding to our mind. Namely consultation with yourself. Namely, next slide, please. Particular forum. Next slide, please. So we've come up with a 6-chapter document. A document that speaks in chapter 1 on our prioritized national interests. National interests. And the reason for foreign policy is that the reason for foreign policy of the national interest, the promotion of the national fostering of our national interest, the fostering of our national interest, and part of the conversation we need to have is what an examination of our constitution, an examination of elements suggests certain elements that in particular Article 138 of the Constitution, in particular Article 138 speaks to the question of territorial integrity, the protection of the Commonwealth, the protection of the commonwealth and the citizenry's well-being, of the citizenry's well-being. It speaks of the citizens' entitlement of the citizens, namely their rights, some of the amongst other priorities that we need to protect, that we need to protect, using our foreign policy. The second chapter examines why are we reviewing the 2014, asks why are we reviewing the 2014, and in examining the operating environment, in examining the environment, many changes have taken place on the economic sphere, on the economic sphere, fiscal challenges. Challenges around climate, we are dealing with challenges around climate, we are dealing with opportunities around demographics, but increasingly also we are dealing with, strengthening not just agencies, but various organs of the state, on the various organs of the state, playing a role in foreign policy, parliament playing a role in county government, judiciary, county government, civil society, media, civil society, young people is asking questions, young people are asking questions, that's why. Additionally, when you look at things, when you look at things from the fabric of the global order, the fabric of the international order is considerably punctured. By which the parchment by which global order is sustained. Question revolves around: do we repair this patch? Revolves around: do we repair this patch? Do we repair? Your Excellency has been at the center. Your Excellency has been at the center. Conversations around, and we are very anxious, and we are very anxious. Your Excellency, the third chapter then in that respect. Your Excellency, the third chapter then considers the tools, namely foreign policy, namely engagement, but also an emerging concept known as multilateral engagement, which is really about the realization of order is rupture. Because multilateralism is not delivering as it ought. Interest-based institutions are beginning to cohere. But they may not be as structured, an emergence of new institutions, an emergence of new institutions, and we will have that, and we will have that. Fourth chapter, Your Excellency, then present what foreign policy option, implementation, and then we consider implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. Next slide, please. Your Excellency, this is a fairly important slide, because it's whether Kenya has a foreign policy. Whether Kenya has a foreign policy. What is Kenya's foreign policy doctrine? What is Kenya's foreign policy doctrine? What is foreign policy philosophy? Our foreign policy. Do we have a default position? Do we have a to guide our interactions to guide our interactions? We want to project the country. How do we want to project? That is really the in that particular place. And the proposition here, Your Excellency, is that we are guided by a strong belief that our future is very much linked, that our future very much linked to the stability and the common security and the common heritage of us. Kenya existing within a community of nations. Kenya existing within a community, and that linked to the stability and prosperity of our lies Excellency, we've been guided since independence by the principle of very clear principle. The principle of good neighbor. Kenya is a good neighbor. Kenya is a good neighbor. The idea that we do not interfere. The idea that we do not interfere with the internal affairs, the idea that we believe that we can resolve our issues, guided by the Pan-African spirit. Guided by the Pan-African spirit. that we will act fairly, that we will fairly act with others and reciprocally with others. The idea, Your Excellency, that we will welcome Your Excellency, we will welcome humanitarianism, humanitarianism, and that's the reason why Kenya is a big refugee hosting country. Today we are host to more than 700,000 refugees. More fundamentally, Your Excellency, is a principle of non-alignment. Fundamentally, Your Excellency, is a principle of non-alignment. Because we now live in fairly complex geography. Our non-alignment globally. Our non-alignment has served us. One of the principles that is not captured there. One of the principles that is not captured there. I hope we can that Kenya's recognition of other states. The fact that Kenya's recognition of other states is contingent upon by the United Nations. The recognition of the United Nations. And so where there is a tension between, at the regional level, our recognition at the regional level, mainly at the extent to which the United Nations, so for example, United Nations, so for example, the state of Palestine has recently recognized. That's a major issue that we need to consider. That's a major issue. I mean, certain other states, including those that aspire to be states, such as Kosovo, and others that are not really recognized, and others that are not even recognized in certain contexts within the UN system, even though certain contexts within the UN, they may have some form of recognition. I think Kenya's position has been that until that recognition we have, then we do not give recognition to the United Nations. Then we do not give. Your Excellency, like I said, since independence, Kenya successfully. Excellency, like I said, since independence, Kenya successfully official alliances with both the West and the East. And again, going back to the idea of recognition, Your Excellency, I think this is also a good place to mention one other country, which is the idea of Taiwan. And the reason why Kenya stands for the proposition of one China policy is because when you look at Taiwan, and again going back to it is recognized only by 8 countries. So it hasn't and again going back to the idea of recognition. And so with regard recognized only to our commitment to the one China policy is actually based on a very solid principle. Next slide, please. Your Excellency, that's the 2014 policy proposition in summer. If you look at that, what does that tell you? We envision in 2014 that we would build a house of foreign policy. This is like a house sitting on five pillars. It's very linear, if you like. It's stable also. But it's unbending. You know, because if you remove any of those pillars, will the house stand? The key question is, does our policies necessarily any one pillar? Part of the criticism around this approach has been that the policy projection in this sort of makes Kenya very rigid, little view between different pillars, and therefore one doesn't get the full view of how we drive policy. But nevertheless, Your Excellency, these have served since because we have been leaders this frontier. And increasingly from 2000 we have been running diplomacy trajectory as well as environmental diaspora as well as culture. Next slide, please. The next slide essentially captures, I think it's a bit because we've discussed in reviewing policy, foreign policy, what are the drivers, like I mentioned earlier, we looked at external domestic environment, external environment, our national ambitions, Ottoman agenda, and Vision 2030. And we also looked at the demand from non-state and other institutions, all of which influence the strategic direction of our diplomatic efforts. But more fundamentally, like I mentioned, many global shifts have been and continue to shape world over, including most fundamentally, I think you recall 2020, COVID, the world suddenly turned into health, and the dangers that public health can pose on peace. Therefore, the nexus between global health began to be. The other important factor in that regard is the digital technology, ubiquity of technology, and the fact that technology has horizontalized access to information available to information that is available, and that has democratized information, but it has also created considerable challenge. Your Excellency, we have emerging areas of diplomacy, like Parliament is playing a role. The judiciary also in interpretation of the law is developing areas of diplomacy. The ocean is becoming a very site for diplomacy. We have done a lot of conferences and public. Your Excellency, we have received views from all those, and we continue to evaluate our foreign policy for relevance. Next slide, please. So, Your Excellency, this is sort of the way we envision the new focus areas of our foreign policy. So away from the foreign policy that we had in 2014. I don't know what these sort of triggers in our minds. To me, I see a leopard skin in the variegated colors that you see. Is that to say that the world has become even more complex and more unpredictable? We will be more adaptive. More even more calm, in order to deal with the habits, in order to deal with a world that is more complex, a lot more complex. Or is it like some people have said? This now looks like a plane is about to take off. With global sustainability as the whole of government and the two ends, bilateralism and multilateralism, being sort of the wing that will enable our diplomacy to take off much more strongly into the future. But again, your focus areas. These are the focus areas. The idea really big. We have tried to capture the non-linearity we have also captured the interaction between the diaspora, and our social diplomacy, and our social cultural diplomacy. Our diaspora could play in global and multilateral. But all of it, Your Excellency, on the driving the national interest. These foreign policies that argue this fact that all these play all dynamic and interactive role in the path of foreign policy, in the path of resting the idea that it will be driven by the whole taking advantage both our bilateral, which is mainly missions abroad, missions that we host, as well as the institutions of multilateralism that exist. Next slide, please. What we have in the next slides, Your Excellency, are really so much time in there. It is obvious, Your Excellency, that Kenya is a champion on peace and this particular pillar, Your Excellency, focus area, Kenya's sovereignty, and democracy, and ensure the prosperity and well-being. Your Excellency, the bottom-up transformation heavily focuses heavily on expand our economy, expand the opportunities available to and that is why we have economic seeks to achieve robust economic engagement in order to secure Kenya's the broad aim of becoming an upper middle income. Your Excellency, you have prioritized Africa while strengthening trade and commercial engagement. In this area, Your Excellency, we have economic and commercial we have trade and investment, creative economy, conferencing. Thirdly, Your Excellency, the issue around sustainable oceans. Let's move to the next slide. We argue that Kenya will strengthen our position as a regional and global economy and contribute meaningfully to global. The main focus here will be sustainable development, oceans and management of oceans and enhancing ocean shipping, enhancing maritime coastal and marine tourism. Kenya will explore ocean resources and develop marine domain and boundaries and combat combat the maritime sphere and within the maritime sphere and contribute to equitable sharing of resources and marine resources and benefits. Next slide, please. Next slide. Excellency, the focus will continue. Our engagement, global governance, and multilateral governance, by which active leadership, provide proactive leadership, equitable representation, and multilateralism and strategic challenges. Kenya will continue to for a more representative and system that reflects and amplifies the voice of the global Excellency of the global. Excellency will continue to work on the building motion of laws, building a rule-based and a rule-based international order. Next slide, please. On environmental and climate change. Kenya is a champion when it comes to because our energy security excellence is green energy by and large. When it comes to the environment, excellence of Kenya is environmental diplomacy by way of so the aim here is to promote global environmental preservation of natural resources, framework, biodiversity protection, and we will seek to showcase our credentials as a global leader on environmental and climate change issues and renewable energy. On science and tech and innovation, national global technological. Excellency, we will promote partnerships, technologies including jobs, by economic growth, welfare and living standards. We shall leverage on Kenya's commitment to Kenya's commitment to international collaboration, aimed at attracting investment, at exchange of knowledge, the exchange of knowledge, the exchange of knowledge for addressing global challenges. Your Excellency, the last two pillars are diaspora diplomacy, which my sister has hinged on a conceptual framework, engages and empowers to enhance their prosperity, and to leverage on diaspora, including regional and international, on social cultural diplomacy, the aim of which especially through social values, cultural heritage and endowments, foster understanding, the focus here, Your Excellency, heritage will be on cultural heritage, sports, education, and global health. Diplomacy. In relation to the implementation and the monitoring and evaluation, Your Excellency, this is predicated on a foreign service, collaboration with other MDS and society, both at the national and county government. A monitoring and evaluation policy will be guided by the national monitoring and evaluation framework. Your Excellency, other documents have been prepared. Policy, and to implement the policy much more coherently. It is proposed. I know the Prime Minister. I know the Prime Minister. That a sessional paper on Kenya's foreign policy, undertaking further reviews of foreign service regulations. Your Excellency, in terms of the next step, we intend, with your permission and your blessing, to launch foreign policy, the Kenya foreign policy, the Kenya foreign policy on the 2nd of December 2024. Thereafter, or rather, we intend to launch the draft before cabinet, which will give rise to the revised act of revised foreign service regulation. Your Excellency, we will engage in a sense by which Kenyans will engage Kenyans for the new Kenyans. Your Excellency, that is in a nutshell. The foreign policy that we see, and now without further ado, allow me to invite to the stage His Excellency the Prime Cabinet Secretary to take it over. Let's put our hands together for the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, Deputy President, Your Excellency, Honorable the Deputy President, Honorable my colleagues in government, fellow Kenyans, and participants in this business and short critical consultation with the President, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, I can only say that the PS has done a very good job in running us through the outline, the emerging or evolving foreign policy. But why we thought that it's so important? Because we want to be able to domesticate foreign policy. In the middle of this year, when the young men and women of Kenya were kept on asking this question, why does the president travel? not looking at the end result, not looking at the end result, not looking at the end why does he travel? But it even migrated, it even migrated from the mode of travel to the mode of travel. To the mode of travel, and in the process, critical aspects of what emerges out of proper engagement at the highest level was being lost. So it is our desire. So it is our desire. Through this kind of interaction, under your leadership, Your Excellency, under your leadership, we can perhaps coin policy machinani, so that we can the ordinary citizens, the young men and women of this country to understand why it is important for our nation with the globe. Try and imagine yourself living in a country with a dominant foreign policy. A nation that is like an introvert, does not interact with anybody, does not talk to anybody, what kind of nation would that be? So as we look at what has happened, the reality is that the president in the 2.5 years since he took over, have dramatically reprofiled Kenya's image in the international arena. I can speak with confidence because I've made so many trips. And the question in some of these fora is that, and what does Kenya think? What does Kenya think? That is important. For you, some of you who are politicians, you know how it feels when you are at a public rally, and a particular speaker speaks, and then when he walks away, and leaves the arena, you find the audience disappearing with him. It happens. But Kenya is becoming a pivotal state, a reference center, a nation where people want to know and seek guidance. That does not come easy. Neither does it come lightly. So through this kind of conversation, how do we anchor Kenya's foreign policy? Through this conversation, how do we support it? How do we make sure that the budgeting of our nation supports the foreign policy initiative? Bearing in mind there are also competing interests in other sectors. These are issues that can only come through sufficient and be able to direct what we are looking for, and know that what we are looking for. So, Your Excellency, I was not setting you up, but I was just asking, why do you travel? And that was a very telling statement that there's a communication gap we need to fill. As a nation, so that the bulk of our citizens can understand why meeting international obligations, both for our sovereignty, for our security, and for our economic. So I will not say anymore. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you. And to guide us, the final documentation really captures the thought, the punch that you desire that you desire. It is now my singular honor. It is now my singular honor. It is now my singular honor. Honorable, the Honorable Deputy President, our Deputy President, come and make his remarks. Come and make his remarks. Come and make his remarks. His Excellency the President. His Excellency the President.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, President William Ruto, all the dignitaries present here, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Kenyans. Your Excellency, the last 2 years, you've profiled our country, tremendously, across the world. No wonder my brother here made are the sentiments that are not only prevailing in Kenya, but also out there, and that's how it should be. Because Your Excellency, other than being president of our country, the CEO of our country, also our head of state, our head of diplomats, and our head of embodiment, what Kenya is, values, and what its values and its interests are. Your Excellency, this forum, and I want to congratulate the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and I want to congratulate the Foreign Affairs Ministry, This forum is point of reflection and introspection. Number one, what is our national interest? And that question we will ask for as Kenya exists. For as long as Kenya exists. It's not a one-off thing that we define. We have to keep on asking. What is our national interest? And as the ministry has presented, stakeholders who prepared our national interest lies in some of the most secret, but not limited to the inviolability of our country, every inch of Kenya, where the flag flies, where the national anthem is sung, that space called Kenya, is inviolable, the embodiment of our pride, and should be protected. But it's also about our values, which is the software of Kenya, our culture, and our aspirations. Thirdly, it's also reflected in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda and Vision 2030 aspires to provide a more inclusive country, and greater sharing of the resources of wealth to benefit the entire population of Kenya, as many people from our homeland, from dehumanizing, sharing ecological, natural, and the other resources that are available in our country, as many people as we can. Your Excellency, that's the national. But it's also about security and stability of our country. That leads me towards the conclusion of this. Our national interest is essential to our national survival. And therefore, this foreign policy is about the stability
centuries to come. What is that will make Kenya this very complex, and insecure world? Many decades when this generation many centuries, all of us will not be here. Is it not making sure our country is stable, making sure our country is stable, as you continue to lead us, is it not in making sure that we protect the resources, make them available, make the majority of the citizens, fight corruption, national wealth to benefit the country, projecting ourselves, selling ourselves out there as a country, good for investment, which can attract the resources from outside the country to come and benefit. Those are the questions. Foreign policy should help us answer. Therefore, I am very proud. I am very proud. Very proud that we are reflecting on this, and at a time when many witnesses across the world, stress across the world around existing multilateral, existing multilateral, the emergence of systems here, and how we develop our country for the benefit. Therefore, want to listen to you, hear what vision you have for us, how do we take key, serving in your administration, how do we from that help us navigate the interests of Kenya, and make sure that we hand over this country to future united country, sustain the shocks prevailing today, and those many remarks, Your Excellency. I want to request of my colleague, welcome Mr. President to give us the vision without overprose.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take our seats. Asanteni sana. Your Excellencies, honorable members, fellow Kenyans, let me first take this opportunity to congratulate the team led by our Prime Cabinet Secretary, and the two departments of Foreign Affairs, of Diaspora Affairs, for what I have very well. Congratulations from us. And today we mark a significant milestone in the consolidating our foreign policy into a comprehensive document. This policy reflects global imperatives, global imperatives and multilateral, the values and principles driving and articulates objectives as a nation. This transformation is coming at the expiring of the shelf life, coming at 2014 of the shelf foreign policy that had developed in a concerted way this one has been. Our foreign policy must align with the dynamic realities of the international environment. Kenya's national economic transformation, a forward-looking, and people-centered foreign attract and secure our country's rightful place on the global stage. on the global stage. Kenya's foreign policy, Kenya's more than the management with other nations. It's about shaping, it's about shaping present and future generations with our national interests. This policy ensures that diplomatic engagement, tangible benefits, unlocking the power, unlocking the partnership of a shared vision of a prosperous, interconnected future. The time has come to dismantle the barriers that have traditionally confined foreign affairs to the executive. Instead, to the executive, we must adopt comprehensive, inclusive, whole of government, whole of society, involving approach, the civil society-based organization, our young people, women, and also all other active stakeholders. At the same time, our foreign policy must provide effective strategies for our national priorities and diplomatic engagement. Through diplomatic engagement. Let me say this. And every one of us, whether we are members of the judiciary, members of parliament, members of civil society, whether we are sportsmen, whether we are businessmen, we represent Kenya in engagements. And we have a diplomatic responsibility to represent our country. Its ultimate aim, naturally, is to improve citizen welfare, drive national progress, and contribute to shared regional prosperity. Globalization, blurring the line between. This makes it imperative to comprehensive foreign policy, and this is the exercise. The new foreign policy document identifies effective responses. It incorporates mechanisms and evaluation, ensuring that our diplomatic sector serves as a catalyst for Kenya's prosperity. Notably, it highlights opportunities in emerging digital and climate diplomacy. As you all know, we have raised Kenya's diplomatic profile. It is the reason why in Nairobi we held the first African climate summit. And I did it specifically because Nairobi is the environmental capital, and we must lead in matters. Environmental diplomacy. It is the reason why our voice as a country is counted on by our African friends, by the global community, and we carry the weight of the fact that hosts Kenya. The United Nations Environmental and it is the reason why we raise the profile of and to make sure that Kenya in the right league. And I am looking forward the Ministry of Foreign Affairs managing that space in a manner that profiles Kenya positively. Without a doubt, Without economic diplomacy remains central. Kenya's position as a regional financial backed by a strong banking sector, hosting the largest World Bank station underscores its importance. Recent engagements, including African Development Bank, emphasize the critical role of the private sector in economic diplomacy. When I was requested by the World to host the IDA negotiations, when I was requested by the president to also host in Nairobi, it demonstrated Kenya's destination, a voice for economic development. We must build on it. We must leverage on it, and whatever it is that we are doing, whether it is Africa must eventually accrue to the people of Kenya. Our foreign policy must at the strategy of creating more and economic opportunities with a special focus on the empowerment and the inclusion and the marginalized group of marginalized young people, women and persons living with. In so doing, our foreign policy with the bottom-up economic transformation, to benefit these complementarities and align time for us to be imaginative in the efficacy and the efficacy of our missions abroad, to promote investment and position Kenya as appropriately as they can. Our nation's reputation as a dependable is a source of pride. Kenya has established area of regional and global peace and security engagements and operations. Our long-standing effective peacekeeping and peacebuilding us as a force of common in our region. And sustaining these strategic priorities. I expect the ministry to continuously focus in this space. It is the reason why we are engaged in all the interventions. Also engaged in the main. We are engaged in Somalia, just come out of DRC. The global community approach our place. It was not in hate. It was not because of any other reason. Kenya has positioned itself as a country that understands peace diplomacy over time has been a place where Kenya and it is our intention put into the finer detail on how Kenya can make sure that we not only play our role, but we also profile our country. This is why Kenya is leading. The UN approach mission in Haiti, and mediating peace efforts in different parts of our region, including South Sudan, and across the region. We are determined to remain a peaceful nation, at peace with ourselves first, at peace with our neighbors, and also working with friends, across the world. Under the Shirika Plan, which is another huge invention, our innovative refugee program, we aim to transform camps into integrated settlements, a global standard for sustainable and affirmative humanitarian response. I had, for example, an engagement with the UN representative of Mata's refugees. And they are working with other countries that have refugees, learning from Kenya how to integrate refugees and how people who have lived in a country cannot continue to stay, how we can integrate them into society, and how we can use them as a force of good. And we are making huge strides in that space. This policy document will capture the